There's a lot of doom and gloom out there now on the prices of cards and the fact that they're falling too low and it's going to be the end and things like that. But I don't think that's the case. I think it's the time of the collector. I'm really excited, and you should be too. Hey everyone, Dan the Cardman back again. Welcome to another video. Very glad to have you here. Thank you for joining. Now, today's topic, as you saw by the intro and by the title, we're going to talk through the state of the card market, trading card market and trading card prices and things like that. There's so much doom and gloom out there that people are touching on the fact that we might see almost the end of the hobby, the fact that there was so much money pumped into this over the last 2 years to 3 years, and that's sort of starting to taper away. You can see it through the prices of key rookie cards in key sports. From a sports card perspective, and then also from a Pokemon perspective, some of the prices are coming down compared to where they were, and some of the Marvel PMGs as an example as well. A lot of people are saying like this is the end, it's doom and gloom. I don't necessarily think that's the case. I think like any market, I will state this up front, any market, even though this is a hobby, right? It's a collectibles at the end of the day, has ups and downs, and when things do pump for a period of time, they are going to come down. And I don't think we'll ever see prices that we saw in the past. I don't ever think things will go back to normal where you could pick up a Michael Jordan auto for a couple $1,000 or less, even some under $1,000 if you checked out Card Porn's recent post. But I just thought it'd be worth commenting on because I want to entice people. This is a good thing, right? Like if you're a true collector, if you're a hobbyist, if you're an enthusiast, now's the time to actually start buying cards because they're going to be really affordable again. And if you got caught out like I did when the market sort of blew up and there were so many things that you wanted to buy that you couldn't because it was just way too expensive. Well, now's the time to go out and buy them. You shouldn't be too scared. Now's the time you need to double down and start getting into things. Now, I just want to quickly touch on two videos. So please check out Mojo Sports. He released a video on May 19th when he went around a card show and started talking about how, or starting asking questions, interviewing dealers and collectors to what they thought was happening within the market. And most of them basically said, no, this is sort of the end. We're going to see a huge downturn. Some also said, well, now's the time to be a collector because now you can actually get the cards you want, which I agree with. That was pretty interesting. So please check it. That's about 21 minutes. But then also Sunday League investors who I'm surprisingly not subscribed to on my main channel. I am on my personal channel, so just subscribe now. But they did a similar thing where they basically went around a card show and spoke about how cashing out doesn't mean you need to get cash. Right now is the time to sort of take your inflated cards and start getting into players and things like that that are probably more what's what I'm looking for, liquid assets, right? So going out of the speculation side of things and trying to get into players. So what they did from Sunday League investors, they went after players like Ronaldo and other high-end soccer players that irrespective of whether the market's hot or cold, they're probably going to sell more frequently than anything else, right? So they're pretty cool videos, so please check those out. But I just want to talk through and get your thoughts on this, right? Because I'm curious to get your understanding. Someone like me, I've touched on this many times in the channel, right? I'm a huge proponent of, I have a huge proponent to basically go out there and get cards without costing me too much money. So you would have seen this with some of my soccer card pickups recently, a lot of my Dragon Ball Z stuff that you see behind me, all those sealed booster boxes that you can't see, but they're really expensive, right? So typically what I will do, and I've touched on this in recent videos, I'll buy the cards that I want. I'll also buy cards that I don't want in an effort to flip to try and fund my collection, right? So even though the market has been really hot, I've got into expensive cards and things like that for my collection without actually spending too much money. So when the hobby does come down in terms of price, I'm not going to be caught out too much. And I hope that is the case for many of you as well. If you're somebody that has overspent, per se, like you've spent more than what you could probably afford, and you sort of need to sell these cards to get by, I think you're going to be in a little bit of trouble because I think we're going to see some pretty large movements in prices. But if that is not the case for you, I think it's also going to be quite exciting because, like I said a bit earlier, if you're here to collect, if you're a true collector at the end of the day, or you're somebody who wants to make a play for 5-10 years down the line, now's the time. Now's the time you should be going out there to buy as many cards as possible. You say you've spent, and you treat this almost like crypto in the sense as well, right? You look at cryptocurrency. So many people have, I'll use this as an example. So many people have like the dollar cost average approach, right? Where they'll buy a certain amount of crypto every week or every month, okay? And they'll do that when the market is hot. But then as soon as you see a crash like we're sort of going through now, even though I don't think we're at the bottom, they stop doing that because they're like, oh crap, now's the time to cash out. Like what if it doesn't come back? Where it's like, no, that's not what you should be doing. If you've had that belief, if you've had the mentality to do that when things are going well, you need to have the same mentality when things are going poor, because when things go well again, that's when you can then compound your investment, right? That's when then you can see the exponential growth. If you started buying in when it was high and then when it was low, when it gets back to what it was, because you were still focused when it was low, the gains are going to be even better and it's even more exciting to be involved with, right? So card collecting is the same sort of way. Even if you're an investor sort of thing, when you're trying to go for it long term, now's the time to buy as many cards as you can on the cheap. Even though it might be harder to move if you need to move them, the market's going to come back eventually. And it's what's so exciting, right? Because now's the time where you can get the cards that you actually want and not have to pay a freaking arm and a leg, right? And it's so frustrating to see cards that were worth $10, $20 5-6 years ago now being worth a couple hundred, right? You can get back to getting those cards being maybe affordable. Maybe they won't ever get back to 10, 20, but maybe you can pick them up for $50. Maybe you can pick them up for $100. So it's really exciting. And somebody that came from comic book collecting like I did, where prior to the Marvel boom, there was books that were really cheap back then. And then the boom happened, and it's like, well, okay, now that the hot topic nature of the hobby is sort of cool from a comic book perspective, the books that were really cheap back in the day are still expensive compared to back then, but they're way cheaper than what they were at the peak. And so much so with books like Spawn #1, right? That book, like 10 years ago, people spoke about how overly printed it was, and you couldn't even give those books away, Spawn #1s. Now they're selling for like $50, $100 here in Australia, if not more now. I haven't checked recently, but it's like when I came back to comic book collecting, I was like, what the heck is going on? Card collecting is sort of the same thing, but now's your time to double down, get in and get what you can, and take advantage of the Timmies that are basically going to be too scared and going to leave the hobby because it's not fun anymore because they can't make $1,000 profit on a card they bought yesterday, right? Like if you're here for the long term, you're going to have a lot of fun over the next few months because cards are going to be affordable again. Be prepared, start buying in and start getting the cards you actually want, because now's your chance. It's sort of not going to last for too long, in my opinion, in the grand scheme of things. I think it might be a couple of years, but that's not too long in the nature of a lifetime, right? So get in, get your cards, and let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, what you actually think on this, and whether you share a similar mindset, whether you're excited like I am. I'm like really, really excited because I've hated the fact that I haven't been able to buy the cards that I've wanted to without spending an arm and a leg, right? I hate overcommitting myself when it comes to hobby and collectibles. Like I've told many times on this channel, I'm always very sensible. I try and get in with a $0 cost to as many cards as I can. Yes, it takes me a long time to get those cards because I need to buy cards to then sell. But now's the time, even though it might be harder to sell cards, I can actually start getting the cards that I want. And I'm really excited, really looking forward to that. So really keen to get your thoughts on this down in the comments below as well. Whether you're excited for this, whether you're nervous, whether you're scared, how overcommitted you are to the cards you have. If you're somebody that's maybe overspent, I would say you maybe need to try and sell some cards now if you're concerned about where the market's moving. I don't think it's going to stay down forever. I think it will come back. There's way too much money being invested by the likes of the graders, by the likes of Fanatics, by the likes of Panini, by the likes of the other manufacturers. It's never going to go away. Maybe we won't see as high as it has been. But yeah, that's sort of it. I rambled for 7 minutes. I do apologize. You guys know I like to do that. But yeah, please share your thoughts down in the comments below, please, because I'm really keen to get some discussion on this. So many people are scared. So many people are like running for the hills. There's so many Timmies out there. I just don't get it. If you're so willing to buy cards when the market's hot to try and make money, you should be 10 times more willing to do it now that the market's cooling, right? Because now's your time to get in cheap to make your huge returns in the future if that's what you're trying to do. And if that's not what you're trying to do, now it's the time to get your cards for your collection on the cheap. So get in, get out, and let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.